Pledge allegiance to
To
the
the
flag
flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that's good. Second item is adopting the agenda. I just want to answer a quick question. Oh, roll call. Yes,
The record show.
yeah, we'll let the record show all trustees are
Here.
present and is the library manager. Okay, so I tried to send the agenda out as a draft about a week ahead. I didn't quite get it there this time, but I will try harder to do that in the future. So if there are any changes or corrections, we can do it before we get here. But at this point, is there anything else we should add to the agenda for this evening? Everybody okay with the agenda?
Are you gonna add the financial policy?
It's on.
It's on.
Is it? I didn't think it was on the one that originally got sent out. Okay.
It's on.
Yeah.
It's on that.
Yeah, it's under our old business, to do that. Yeah, so we're good. Okay, so we're okay with that. Take a motion to approve the agenda? Adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, agenda we've got. Now, we have two sets of minutes. We had our organizational meeting on the 18th. Everyone should have gotten a copy of that. Are there any changes or corrections, comments to the the July?
July 7th.
I'm sorry, we start with the June 18th, because we didn't do that on the 2nd of July.
right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So we'll go back to June 18th, that was a regular meeting. Changes, corrections, any comments on that minute? We're good? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I'll move.
Maggie? Second?
I'll second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, second one was our special meeting, organizational meeting that we held on the 2nd. We did a little bit of business at that meeting. But basically it was mostly all the organizational things. You should have gotten copies of that. Any changes, corrections, or comments for the 7-2 minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion.
I'll
Okay,
second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on, I have a report, President's report for tonight. A couple of things. One is the status of our operational audit. We have received a draft of the operational audit from Brian Zucamuglia. Our VP Finance, Colin, and I are reviewing it, and I doubt that we'll make any changes or corrections before they submit the final. And then we will arrange for them to appear at a board meeting to discuss the recommendations. Essentially, the operational audit provides a whole series of recommendations, as we had discussed before. And so before that meeting, before we have them here, we'll make sure that the entire board and Marion has copies of the final report before that meeting. So it's just in kind of the, what do I want to say, draft stage at the moment, okay? Second thing is I had a meeting with Tammy Priest, our treasurer, on the 16th of July at the De Lorenzo offices in Middle Grove. And there were several items that came out as a result of that, which I think are important to point out. First of all, I delivered the oath of office for her to take there. We administered that oath. They have a notary in their office. They notarize it. We returned it to the attorney's office. They will see to the filing of all of that. I'm going to give you a copy of this.
Okay.
Secondly, it was interesting. In going through some of the reports and other things as we were discussing, I discovered that the checks that have been going out to pay our bills have the president and vice president finance signatures. That is incorrect, as we learned in conversations with our attorney. So we have to take some action to have the bank allow only her signature. We'll take this matter up under new business and we'll discuss how we want to handle that. The other thing is that I'm going to be discussing a very slightly revised budget tonight. That'll be part of our new business. And once that's finalized, we'll submit it to Tammy, and all the reports that they then issue will be related to the fiscal year 25 budget. So there will be a series of reports. The board and the manager now have our fiscal year 24, what I call semi-final financial reports. There are probably still a few items that we'll get into that because we go on an accrual basis. But as soon as that comes out, then that will be the format that we will receive each month. And I want every board member and Marion to get those on a regular basis, and Tammy can do that. It's all by email. It's not a problem. The budget itself, and we'll discuss that later, we can update that anytime we choose. She maintains a log of all the changes we make, so it's no mystery as to what happens as we go forward with that. And the last thing, meeting with Tammy, was that we determined that there is not any sort of formal written agreement between the library and DiLorenzo Associates. The original arrangement was developed informally by the previous director. And so Tammy is preparing a more formal document detailing with an understanding of what they provide and what they charge. And I think you remember the last time we had a discussion, we'll likely continue with DiLorenzo for fiscal 25, which is what we're in, and probably go to bid for this when we get to fiscal, looking forward to fiscal 26, okay? And the last thing for my report is kind of a busy month. I had an email exchange and some discussions with our attorney. He confirmed that the change to Tammy's signature is fine. He also said it was okay to have the president and the vice president's signature on file at the bank. That gives you the ability to go in and ask them questions, or I could ask them questions about the statements, et cetera, et cetera. And I think when we get to this point of approving Tammy for the initial signatory, we'll discuss whether we want a second signature or not on the checks for certain amounts, but we'll take that up under new business. The other thing he asked me at the time, and I'm waiting for an answer back from him because I didn't understand it, was he wanted to know if we have a treasurer's bond in place, and I believe we don't have a treasurer's bond. We probably should have a treasurer's bond, and as soon as we get some information on what that entails, we'll move forward to put that in place. And that was it for me. Okay, any questions? We're good with that. Okay.
Likely gonna require a change to current policies.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when we get to discuss that, if you look at our purchasing policy, we now talk about having the requirement for 2 signatures, and then that whole policy at the very end talks about credit cards. So that policy and those has to be revised once we get to that point. So yeah, absolutely correct. Okay. VP, Finance.
Can I add something to that?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
In regards to that bond that you were stating,
Yeah,
I did some investigating on that.
oh, good.
And through our insurance company that we're dealing with right now, Utica National Insurance, we have a policy, and it's called employee dishonesty, to cover situations such as in the past.
Uh-huh.
So you know, and that's similar to a bond as
Okay, so
coverage.
when I have that discussion with him, I'll make note of that.
Yeah.
That exists.
That does.
And then we'll see if that's sufficient. If it's not, we'll have to adopt some sort of a bonding.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good point, Colin. Thank you. All right, anything, all right, VP Finance. We're
Okay.
moving into this set of documents.
In front of you is all the bills that need to be paid this evening. We did have to pay Spectrum, and I'll probably get into that maybe right now. We've been paying Spectrum, but it's been going into a wrong account. So they got, I don't know the proper word for it, but they kind of demanded that they needed some money. So we went ahead and had Tammy send them $479.88, which you'll see I hadn't written into the bottom of my statement here.
Yep.
But we also, and they wouldn't allow it at this time, we'll get it here in the next 6 to 8 days. We have a credit of $808 or $818.88. So we probably won't owe Spectrum nothing for the rest of this year. Okay?
Okay,
A calendar year, anyway.
And on top of it, unknown, that we have two different accounts for Spectrum. One is free and the other one is a charge. So that's been basically investigated and we're on top of it. So just so everybody knows is in regards to that. Second page, I tried to list everything. We had, Warren County aid came in at $3,042. And then our CDs, and at this time, we had the interest-bearing checking account balance of $200,000. And in our regular checking account that we use on a weekly or monthly basis, at this time is $58,425.60.
now that 58,425, when we authorize these bills tonight and pay out the 9,000, that's gonna reduce that.
As far as,
This 58,
yes,
The
that will
nine,
be
whatever.
taken from that. That is correct.
okay, so at that point, we had agreed, back when we decided to set up the interest-bearing checking accounts called the ICS.
Mhm.
We'd agreed that each month as we do this, we will transfer into that account, so there's always a $60,000 balance. That was a previous agreement. I believe, Josh, you gave us the number of 60 back when we decided to do that.
Okay.
So we'll continue with that till we see how it works. If the 58, as it carries through, or 60 is too much on a regular basis, and we never get close to exceeding it, maybe we can consider reducing that a little bit and put some of that money into the interest-bearing account. But I think we need a little experience with it, because we've never had experience with it before. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you, Colin. Great. Anything else?
Because that's it, unless somebody's got a question in regards to any of these
Do we
bills.
have to approve the paying of these bills?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do that.
I do have a question though.
Sure.
I like how everything's laid out, the description of everything, but candy, $811.
Okay, that is the lollipops that say "Be Kind," and on the handle it says Rockwall Falls Public Library, we're reading is sweeter. I wanted to have a variety instead of just the green apple, and I was unable to order a mixed bag. I had to order the 3 flavors individually at 1,000 lollipops each. So, but we're good for probably a year to a year and a half.
I would say closer to 2 years, at least.
So,
Do you think they'll still be good in a year?
oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, the expiration date is way beyond that. And
I'm very
they are a huge, they're very popular. The patrons really look forward to them. It's like, the thing, you come in, get a book and get a pop.
Are we using them now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I could get you one if you want.
They're at the front desk. Okay. All right, any other questions, discussions on that? So we need a motion to approve these warrants as payments.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved, thank you. Moving to secretary's report. Do we have a secretary's report?
We do not.
Okay, no secretary's report this evening.
We have no correspondence to report.
Nothing to report. Then we'll move to the manager's report. And everybody should have a copy in their
Yes, we should have a
folio
copy.
there.
Yes. Well, as you can see from Colin's report, that new books has arrived and are continuing to come in. We're working on the next order, but I'm kind of waiting to make sure all of the ones from this one come in first, just for confusion's sake. The basement clean out has begun. Last week, the town of Luzerne was supposed to come. They had to cancel because of the storm. It's rescheduled for this Thursday at 8 a.m. Still looking for volunteers. We have still had some volunteers last week that did get rid of some of the stuff for us, so progress is being made. We're more gonna come later, but Janice and I went to Fourth Lake Community and was at one of their meetings just this last Thursday. And I know I brought it up as a concern last month. It has been rectified. The book drop at the top of the ramp is now accessible for our handicapped patrons or those who have difficulty doing stairs. Statistics for June, we had 7 programs with 53 in attendance over those 7 programs. We've had 508 patrons. Since July, that's a major uptick, but that we'll report on next month. And our circulations, I think that's an increase, 785 from what we have been reporting. Items to discuss. I think Ted's got it under new business, acknowledging the federal holidays because we are missing some of those.
That's a discussion item under new business.
Right. The hiring of at least one more person. We've had a little bit of forward momentum on that. You'll see in your stack of papers, I have this from the civil service. There was one name on the list that is interested. I will be sending her an email asking her for her resume and letter of interest. But I would also, Candy's, I attached her email where she said it was okay. I would like to advertise for more so that I have more than one person to choose from. If that's amicable with everyone. Or if
Did
that's-
you advertise already?
No, I have not, because this came in late Friday. So, but I would like to advertise and see if we can
Yeah, we talked about that last
get
time.
some more candidates, because there was only one on the list. Well, we didn't know how many last
Right.
time.
Right.
So, and my goal is to have someone hired at an August board meeting. I don't know how lofty that is, but that's the goal. And then I know I brought it up under, I think under other concerns or buildings and grounds for several months about putting a wall in that back room to separate the employee area from the patron area. And I would like to be able to call at least 3 contractors and get some estimates to find out what that's gonna cost. And, you know, then we can proceed from there to see, I know we need at least 3 offers, one way or the other, but I don't know how much it'll cost if we have to put it out to bid, but I have no information to go on at this point.
Per the purchasing policy, you have the ability to do that, so.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no question.
all right. And then there's the change drawer deposits totaling $114.35. I have them broken down, there's copies of the receipts in your pile. And then the list of expenditures is a little bit lengthy. I apologize. Last month, some of them I missed. I'm not sure why, but I just forgot to include them in my report. So they are all listed there for you. Most of it is for programming or office supplies or cleaning supplies. There was one special purchase for bookmarks with our new hours, which by the way, have been very, our patrons are very happy with our new hours because they're so much easier for them to remember. It seems to be because they're consistent. And also as part of those expenditures, you'll see, I do have copies of the receipts from Amazon. When I ordered all the stuff from Creative Products that we've seen a lot of bills from, they gave me $50 in Amazon gift cards as a thank you for my order, and I use that to help order some of the supplies for programming in the office, etc.
How does the expenditures that you do this way get reflected in what we approve here?
Well, this is my petty cash fund,
Oh,
because
that's
I
a petty
don't
cash,
have an
okay.
operating fund.
Yep, okay, and that
So-
gets replenished.
Yeah, that gets replenished on the first of the month,
Got it.
at least until we figure out the
The
purchasing
purchasing
card and everything.
It automatically gets replenished, or it gets replenished after approval of the purchases that you made?
My understanding is it's the first of every month. I don't know if we've ever voted on any of my,
I thought we just said that being petty cash was that she had discretion to spend petty cash out of there and we replenished it on a regular basis.
I mean, I'm
We
happy
could
to show
approve
you
it.
the receipts.
You've got the receipts.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we just replenish it back to 250.
Yeah,
It's kind of more of an operating account than a petty cash, because I don't have an operating account.
well, when you finally get the P card. it'll be-
Right, but I do everything I can to have things invoiced that I possibly can, but unfortunately, not everyone does that.
Yeah.
So, programs, Farm to Library still remains extremely popular. We're doing story time or something along that line, or a craft every Saturday. The book club is continuing to meet, the craft club is. We had a nurse here on the 20th, during what we call peak time for Farm to Library. She was able to, visit with 5 different patrons to pass out the knowledge that there are free cancer screenings available. Andrew Torino has taught 2 paint landscaping class, both of them were full. He has 2 more coming up for August. The whitewater rafting raccoons on the Hudson was a huge hit. We had 16 kids, was very pleased. Libraries Love Lakes had their first one. We have another one this Saturday. We're going to be talking about loons. We had an author here on the 20th. And you can see we have many more upcoming programs. This is not an all-inclusive list because we just scheduled a couple more today. Danger the Dino Wrangler's coming back by popular demand. A couple more painting classes. On here, the Historical Society has been on July 27th. That was canceled today. My apologies for not marking that. Unfortunately, the presenter passed away. So, yeah, we're very excited. August calendar should be out by the end of the week, and it is looking to be a very full month. And then I'll let you guys continue to read the buildings and grounds. It's pretty much the same thing every month. The only thing I'm sure that's later on is we're going to be talking about the bid requests that we received on the 2nd.
Yeah.
And then hopefully on this Thursday, the basement will be completely emptied out of all of the garbage.
Okay.
How many bookmarks did we get for $275? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but I want to say, was it 1,500? No.
Yeah, no, I think it was 1,500.
I'd have to look at the receipt to give you a definitive answer, but it was a substantial amount.
M&M Digital Printing is in Glens Falls. They'll beat Vistaprint whenever you take Vistaprint's price to them.
Okay, I've never heard of M&M.
They're very good. I use them all the time.
Okay, do you have some
they're,
information that you can give me?
They're over near Wendy's in Glens Falls.
Okay.
Yep.
You have a
Is that
picture?
M&M?
What's M&M Digital Printing?
Okay, thank you.
Marion, I got just one question. I need Andrew Torino's address for Tammy for that check.
Okay,
So maybe after the meeting.
I know he's right across the street, but I don't know what the. I will get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the manager? Okay, thank you, Marion. Okay, we have a committee report tonight from the Strategic Planning Committee. Maggie is going to kick this off, and then we'll hear from Bree with the staff.
So I just wanted to say that at one of our focus groups, somebody from the Forth Lake community came and asked, we were talking about the Forth Lake community's interest in the library and our interest in talking to people, and also there was a possibility that some people in the community might want to do some free programming. Anyway, we arranged that we would, some people from the Strategic Planning Committee would come out to Forth Lake and talk to people. As it turned out on that date, I was unable to go, but Janice and Marion went and spoke to the Forth Lake community in their community house, and Janice is going to just give a quick update of what the conversation was like.
It was a lovely evening, and I was grateful that we were invited. I learned a lot about a community that as long as I've lived here and taught here, I didn't really know existed. Quite a little gem back hidden in there. They asked us a lot of questions regarding, how to participate and support in the library. They listened to everything that has been attempted to, that we've attempted to put forth in the library. So I'm giving the big overview and instead of getting down to the nitty gritty. How much nitty gritty do you want? There are quite a few members of this community. They are a wealth of talent and skills and resources. It sounds like they've been involved in this library for a long time. The community's existed for 100 years. A group of people that came up for the summers and then just expanded. There's about 60 homes, families and they've been passed down through the generations. They're here to stay. And it sounds like they've always been supportive, both financially and with their attendance at things here in the library. So I really appreciate all of that. They were very gracious to Marion and I. We start their meetings really late.
Is there a way to go forward in interacting with the community to get some better clarity and some ideas in terms of how we want to proceed? What would be the appropriate way to do that? Any suggestions?
Can I ask the members that are sitting out in the
Sure,
audience right
Sure.
now?
Why not? They're here.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Lisa and Matt and Anne? Did I get the name right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a sister.
Oh, okay, all right, I was trying to.
I would
Okay.
love to help you, this is such a lovely.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be able to.
Okay, all right, so Lisa and Matt are here.
First I want to thank you for coming. It was a very interesting, informative, and enjoyable evening, and we are very appreciative of all the time that you spent with us and all of the information that you gave us. I would definitely think, I'm happy to be kind of a liaison, informally or formally between the community and the library if you need a person. Matt, do you have any thoughts on?
No, it was just lovely to talk to you guys and just, we're so happy that everything is going so well. I don't know, this is great. It's great to see you.
When we started this conversation at the focus group, one of the ideas that Lisa had is that some people in the community might be interested in doing some programming, some evening programs. So if there's anything that comes from that, we would love to hear about.
Well, Lisa is on the program committee that organizes programs at Fort Lake, so maybe people, if they do a talk at Fort Lake, might also like to come to the library. I think that's something that we should definitely, if anybody does a program there, we should ask them if they want to do it here, if you guys would be.
You can do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And coordinate with Marion, with our library manager, and that we welcome whatever you'd like to do to be involved. That'd be great, because you are very much part of the community. So, great.
There were about 25-ish people there.
I think by 8:30 they were.
By 8:30 there were. And there was many that said, oh, we were in the library this week, or we brought our grandkids to the library. So
Great.
they're an involved group of people that really care about the library.
I just pointed I missed that meeting. I was getting cataract surgery that day, so
Good excuse.
I had a pretty good excuse. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, from the Strategic Planning Committee, we have an update just in the status of where you stand at this point, right? Ree's the chairman, so.
Can everybody hear me from here? Is that gonna work? Okay.
Sure.
Just to update everyone, we've been working for quite a while now. It's a really great group of people, first of all, I want to say, with some wonderful discourse and a lot of attention to detail and follow through. So I'm been very pleased with that. We've completed and have ready a mission statement and vision statement. Those have both been completed. The surveys and that we put out to as many constituent groups as we could find, plus the online ones that the library handled, and the 2 focus groups that Maggie organized and headed up, brought data to us that we spent a good deal of time analyzing to see where the community was. And the main kind of questions we were asking there, I'm guessing that most people here have seen the survey and completed it, but our focus was on community, not just the library itself, but how the community, how folks wanted to see their community and how the library can be a better part of that better community. And so to that end, we asked folks for words that they felt best describe the kind of community they would like to live in. And the most frequently used words were words that we then use to help us design the goals for the plan. And so the most frequently used words were inclusive, friendly, informed, diverse, welcoming, and kind. And those words are woven throughout the document that we're creating. Using all of that data, as I said, we we've come up with 3 goals that we'll focus on. The first one is the collection itself that's here within the library. The second goal is to develop programming. And the third goal is one that I think maybe lots of us are really attuned to and we've talked about already here. And that's collaborative relationships with the community. Very much the same thing we're just talking about with the Fourth Lake group. And all of those goals incorporate the data from the surveys and the focus groups. So each goal, as they're coming forward, establishes a projected outcome, the project leader, and actions that will be necessary in order to achieve the goal. There's been a good deal of time and thought spent writing a document that's readable and is both aspirational and measurable at the same time. So some time ago, the goal was, when we began this, the goal was to have it ready for board approval at this board meeting. There's a saying I'm going to quote, half quote, because I can't remember all of it, but that sometimes direction is more important than speed. And so we had some conversations and Ted shared some things with us, and we've elected to give it 1 more month in order to make it nice and tight, and we'll have it to you folks well ahead. I'm thinking at least 1 week ahead of your next board meeting so that you have time to review it before you vote to approve it.
Now, this will be, as I recall, a 3-year plan,
It's a 3-year
as
plan.
opposed to 5, which
Yeah.
normally, but because of our situation.
Correct.
And this board is the ultimate approver of that plan as we then formally file.
Correct.
That's the way it's going to
Yeah.
proceed. So if we have those documents ahead of our meeting, we should be able to have a reasonably productive discussion at the meeting to do that.
And we're back on the regular schedule rotation next month, right? So it's not the
August 20th.
August 20th?
20th. That's the 3rd Tuesday, right?
Yeah. I'm going by what you looked at. so-
That's right. And we're still on the summer schedule of 6:30 at this point. We
And
may
we're
talk
very
about it.
close. It's just a matter of fine tuning things so that they could be prepared and submitted to you trustees with enough time to process them. It would have been too tight, I think.
Okay.
There were several questions about the history of the library. And I referred to the fact that you were researching that and that would be a part of the strategic
Yeah,
plan.
it's going to there'll be appendices that have, well, history was not an appendices, but also like there'll be a copy of the charter. These strategic plans incorporate things like demographics and the building itself, the charter, we have a revised charter, those kinds of things are all part of that document. But as far as what the board needs to actually approve, it's the goals and the actions.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and just in case anybody is, reads the fine print in a lot of the different documents that come out for libraries, we're calling it a strategic plan. Some of the documentation calls it the long-range plan of service. Same thing.
They're all.
So don't be confused. That's what it is. Okay, any questions at this point? That seems like a very reasonable schedule, and we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, thank you very much. Old business. So now we're gonna discuss the financial policy rewrite. I'll just kick it off in terms of we had this done by Josh. We had agreed at one point that we would have these various policies reviewed by our attorney. He did that. He came back with a resounding okay. Looks
No,
good.
I didn't.
You don't have that?
When you're gonna have
The
social
the one I
media.
handed out is the new policy that I just wrote. So the previous one had
Yeah.
been sent out previously, and you might not have been on that chain of email.
Okay.
Do you have, here, you want the new one? I got.
No, I
Social
have
media.
that.
Oh, you
That's
do.
the social media policy. I'm
Yeah.
looking for the financial.
All right, well, anyway. That's a different policy, so. okay. So this one,
I promised to have this one done by this meeting, and so it's here.
financial investments.
The financial investment's been done and reviewed by the attorney. I promised to have the social media policy,
Okay,
and that's what I passed out, because the
Got it.
financial was distributed earlier.
now because he now said okay, do you think we need to do anything further in approving this at this meeting, or because of the approval was previous, what's the what's the de rigueur kind of thing? I'm not sure.
It's a good policy.
I would say if it's a new policy and it's just been approved, this is the final version, I think we should vote on.
We should probably do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the policies are supposed to have when the vote
When it was
was.
voted
So,
on, exactly, that should show up on the website. Okay, so any questions or comments on this at this point?
You full of questions?
I'm
On
gonna
your- on your
jump in
14th day,
faith and trust because I wasn't there when you did this.
Trust.
Like,
The attorney said it was okay.
And then
All right. All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve this policy as we have it, as approved by attorney. Motion to do that,
I'll make the motion.
okay? Second?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Done. Now, this is the social media policy, and this one, this is brand new.
Mhm.
Okay,
So that should be in either.
Electronically coming to you tonight, and then you can send that to Robert for approval there too.
okay, and then we'll see what he has to say, and we can put this on for discussion under old business at the next meeting. Okay, that work? Okay. Second item on the old business were the maintenance bids. Josh, you want to look into that?
So it's laid out for us on the paperwork that I passed out, and it's not just actually the maintenance bid, there's the washing one too.
Yep.
We did have one bid come in for that. I recommend that perennial bed bid that we asked for, I think we get specific about what we want, maybe even come up with a sketch of what we want, and then put it back out. I'm consistently hearing, hey, I don't know how many plants, I don't know how many varieties, I don't know what you're looking for. So if I throw out, $8,000 and it only is, really worth $6,000, I'm gonna feel really bad. So I wanna have a little more clarity. So, and we had oversimplified in the interest of speed and making sure we got those things out there. So I think just think through what you're looking for and then put those details down and we can talk about those maybe at the next meeting.
Yeah, I was also looking for some input from them because
Mhm.
I love flowers, I don't know enough.
We're only talking about the bed though, right? We're not talking about like a rework of the landscape.
No, we were thinking about maybe some flowers right here where the building kind of divots in, if that needs to be moved on to next year, but that's what my thought process was just some flowers that would come up every year, a nice pretty array. I was hoping for some input on their expertise as to, when things bloom, because certain flowers I know they bloom during different times of the season, some are spring, some are summer, sometimes in the fall.
Right.
That
The
is
bid
not my
process is
forte.
a little bit complicated for
Yes.
them. Because they would have to come over and have an actual conversation with you in order to understand. So if we could put in writing as much as we possibly can, and I'd be happy to talk with you about, what you're actually looking for, those kind of things, in understandable language for them, that kind of thing. But I had some good conversations with all three companies, all great people. Backcountry said $1,000 for one time for everything, which is a amazingly low price.
Yeah,
And I asked them if they were sure, and they said yes.
So $1,000 for a year of mowing and snow clearing is what you're saying?
And snow removal.
and were there any specifics in terms of when they mow and when they plow?
There's no specifics listed, and they didn't offer any specifics. I'm sure it'll be as they see fit. I'm assuming Backcountry is doing this in an effort to be a good community member, and so I'm sure they're gonna want it to look good, because it's gonna reflect on that.
Right, but so that doesn't include like the raking or anything?
It does, I believe, yes.
Okay.
Yep, because that's reflected on so all their actual bid papers are stapled to that sheet, that packet that I gave you.
Yeah.
And they reflect all that in there. And they said that they talked with Colin about a lot of this, and Colin kind of encouraged them. So they talked to Colin and got clarity, and they felt comfortable with 1,000. So Dirt and Chip Landscaping, great company, $2,400 per year. Divide that by 12, that's $200 per month, and that's how we'd be billed. Trevor Bunting broke everything down individually, and so for every mow and weed whacking, it would be $75, and then everything else would be like as those things come up kind of thing.
So can that be compared to the backcountry one somehow, or is that not?
Well, Trevor Bunting's not interested in snow removal.
Oh, they're not, okay. And do we want to break it up?
It is two separate things for sure, but,
I think Dirt and Chip wasn't interested in snow removal either.
right, the only actual company that was interested was Backcountry.
Okay. And is that $1,000 upfront or?
We could talk to them about that. I would think that they would, from my experience, it's half in the beginning, half at the end.
Something like that?
Well, we could see what they want to do. I can follow up on that if you would like. If you want to vote to initiate the conversation and start to have them come in, and then we could have that conversation, as far as how payment works out with them.
Sure.
But I think that would be more of a fluid transaction than a steadfast vote, and
Yeah.
you're definitely who we're going with. But I mean, we're not gonna beat that price. And
No,
and I almost want to talk to them again and make sure that they're comfortable,
Yeah,
because
it seems impossible.
it
to do
is
for
a
that
very,
price.
very low price. That's a lot of work for that price.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
But
It's worth a shot.
in the interest of being a good community member, and I think they have other good contracts in the area. Like I said, I think all three companies are great. It's just that price stands out.
Sure.
And they're also the only ones willing to also do snow removal.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve awarding that contract to Backcountry.
With,
How we want to do it.
with the conversation in the future. Let's approve the motion, and I'll have the conversation as far as payment where Colin obviously has a good relationship with them.
Sure.
But we can figure out how they want payment.
Okay.
If we're gonna approve it, we're gonna pay the $1,000 ananyway.
Right.
So if they want it all up front, we could just give it to them all up front.
I think with that price, that makes,
That wouldn't bother me. Okay.
I mean, that's less than half,
Oh, yeah.
it's.
Oh, yeah. I know. That's fantastic. All right. Okay. Well, let's have a motion for the board to approve Backcountry Lawn Care for the lawn care services for this coming year. Now, that's going to be for the entire year, our fiscal year or our calendar year?
The contract has the specs on it.
The contract was for July 1st to June 30th.
30th,
And
yeah.
we don't have that here, but that was what I put out in the bid.
Okay.
Maggie has it. Maggie has the original.
Right, well, here it is for the washer one was July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. So it's the fiscal year.
Okay. So it's a fair fiscal year. Okay. All right. So the motion is to approve that and hire those folks to do this. Yes? Somebody
I'll make that motion.
Make that motion. Okay. We need a second.
Contract with.
We will have a contract, and the expectation will be that they hold up on insurance and those kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like it's a tentative vote on,
It looks,
those criteria.
it looks good. It looks good. Okay. All right. So a second on that? Second. Okay. Any further discussion?
Just one question on that.
Go ahead.
The contract, is that something I come up with, they come up with, or are you working on that? I mean, I put the
I
bid
don't
out.
think it has to be much more complicated than what we have. What we should put our expectations as far as insurance and coverage and those kind of things on it. But what they laid out for us should probably be sufficient. If not, then we're gonna be, whether we mean to or not, we're gonna be asking them to do more than they agreed to, so we wanna be careful about that.
Yeah.
That would be something that we'd have to have a very, careful sit down with them and have a conversation if we're gonna go outside of the language that's already presented here.
Right, do you know what insurances they need to have? And they need to fill out a W-9 as well, I believe, right?
Do we fill that out or do that?
So they get a 1099?
Yeah.
And then we give them forms at the end of the year, yes, yep.
If they get a W-9, it goes down to county firm.
Do you want me to have a conversation with them, or do you want to?
If you want to, Josh, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Got a lot going
Yeah,
on.
I have the blank W-9 forms too.
Okay,
so
Do you know
Josh, you're
insurance
just
if
gonna
they need?
discuss that this is, can actually do it for this price and that they have insurance.
so I have talked to them, and they said they can do it for the price. I will reiterate the fact that it's a great price, and make sure that they're still comfortable. And then I will make sure that they are fully insured and that they can fill out a W-9 for us as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.
If you grab me before you leave, I'll hand you
All in
one.
favor of that as modified and discussed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, we've got, next item is this proposed budget update. And we did pass the budget last time. You all had a copy. Didn't bring copies of the last time one, but I have copies here of what's slightly different from before. So I'm gonna pass these out and I'll go over them with you quickly. 2, 3, we each get one. So there are 2 pieces of paper coming to you. One is the summary and one is the detail behind that summary, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I want to start first with the summary, which the document you have in front of you says revised 7/23 as of this date. The changes that we made from the last time, as we go down the numbers for revenues, if you look at state and county funds, we had budgeted, because we didn't know for sure the last time, $5,900. We actually got the Warren County check, and it was less than we had expected. So that number, 4,862, is the good number for state and county funds. The next number down, reserves, hold on that for the moment, because there are 2 changes in the expenditures. If you go all the way down through to payroll company, payroll employee, all right, we had gotten those numbers a little confused as we were working on this last time. The payroll company number is 27,752 as opposed to 16,011 from last time. And the payroll employee is 126,703 as opposed to 141,444 last time. So it's a reduction in total of payroll expenditures. So when you look at the total expenditures on the bottom line, we had budgeted and approved 237,295. We are actually looking now at a budget of 234,295. Okay, there was $3,000 dumped out of payroll employee, and we adjusted the numbers to be sure they were in the right spot. So if you jump back up, we are then going to only have to take 27,433 from reserves in order to balance this budget to 234,295. And previous to this, we had estimated that we were needing to take 29,395. So it's an improvement of about $3,000 in terms of the overall budget and a reduction in what we have to dip into in terms of reserves. What happens is now, if we approve this tonight, that will go to Tammy. She will populate all of the fields in the details. So as we proceed through the course of time, we'll start populating those detailed fields, and we'll get a much better understanding, which we didn't have when we were doing our budget workshop, of exactly how those expenditures are going to stack up. And the other thing is, as we learn, as we go forward and we find that there are changes that need to be made, those changes can be made without any issues to the budget. We have the ability to do that at our discretion. And Tammy will make those changes so the reports reflect whatever it is we decided to modify. And she keeps a log of what we started with and the changes we made and where we stand. So throughout the year, we know exactly where we stand.
So in other words, Tammy is going to, as she does bills, she's going to keep them in these categories.
Yes.
So that next year we'll know exactly what our expenditures are
That's
in
the
all
hope.
of these
Yep,
categories.
Yep, that's exactly the point, because we had some numbers that were just aggregates,
Right.
because we didn't know the breakdown.
Mhm.
So now that we're getting more informed, we'll have those breakdowns as we move forward.
Right, and when I make purchases for supplies, like through Demco.
You tell her
Amazon,
exactly where
I
it goes.
send her a copy of
Right.
the receipt and I write right on it, administrative supplies, programming, or whatever.
Right. Okay, any further questions on that at this point? So what I'm asking for is to approve this revised budget as the official budget of the moment. This is what we will submit to De Lorenzo and Associates, and what our reports will be based on as we go forward. Okay?
Just clarity on what you were explaining, a change to the budget requires a vote, correct?
Yes,
So Tammy won't be just randomly making changes.
absolutely not.
Any change to the actual budget requires a vote, and then she would act on that.
Yes.
It's gonna be, she's tracking.
Yes,
Yes.
she keeps the books. We make the changes.
But I think the tracking is key, because when we were going through the numbers from the last 3 years, we didn't know what some of the categories meant
Right.
or what they included. So
Makes sense.
this will just make it much easier going forward, so that when we do next year's budget, it'll be a lot clearer.
Makes sense? Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve this revised budget for submission to Di Lorenzo and as the budget of the library for fiscal year 25.
Make that motion?
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, done. Last item I have on this old business is the purchasing card status. Do we have any further information on that, Colin? Do you dug into that at all? or do we need to- So we need to, we will postpone that, and we'll try to have information on how to move forward on that for the next meeting. Okay. Okay, and hopefully make your life easier when we finally get to that point. Okay, going to new business, where we, as I explained before, and this is really interesting, the checks all had our signatures on it, and really, according to the attorney, according to the law, the treasurer is the only person who should be signing checks to pay vendors, et cetera, for the library. And so we need to make that change. And in order to do that, we have to make that ruling tonight. And then we have to take the minutes to the bank. Tammy has to appear at the bank, put her signature on file, and thenceforward, she will be the only one who is able to sign checks. The only question I have for the board is, do we want to think, and I don't necessarily want to do it tonight, but do we want to think about whether there should be a second signature from either the president or the VP Finance for expenditures over a certain amount?
Well, she shouldn't be making any, she shouldn't be paying anything unless it's approved by the board.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so
So I'm not
Probably
sure that we
redundant.
need it because, I mean, de facto, she has every one of our signatures in the way we voted. You've had further conversation with Robert because I thought that the Tammy being the only signature only applied to like the taking out CDs, cashing in CDs, those kind of things. It applies to checks as well.
Yes, absolutely applies to the check. So for however many years we've been doing it with the two signatures, it's not been strictly right. And we're gonna correct that by making, tonight, by approving Tammy as the only signatory for checks written on the bank accounts of the library. And then down the road, which, again, we can't do that tonight, but we have to revise our purchasing policy because it does state two signatures right now. And once we get the P card squared away, we can dump the whole section on credit cards and move into an explanation of just how that's gonna work. But I'm not proposing we do that tonight, just keep that in mind. What we need tonight is a vote to rule that Tammy, as our treasurer,
I
appointed
think the vote
treasurer.
should be that, the treasurer.
Not Tammy, yeah, the
Yeah,
treasurer
okay.
is the only, our appointed treasurer is the only person authorized as a single signatory on any checks that are written. I think that's the way it should be worded. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna make that motion
Okay, so the motion is that only the appointed treasurer can be the signatory on our,
on our checks on any of the bank accounts.
okay,
Okay,
I'll second.
any further discussion on that? And that's gotta appear in the minutes, and when you do it, I'll get a copy, and then we do the bank stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing the wording.
So I have a second for that motion?
I think that was me.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
Maggie, okay, great. Any further discussion on that? Okay, and done.
We did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, done. Next item,
Can I just say one thing?
Why,
In the
sure.
minutes, when I write carried, that's a unanimous vote.
yes,
And so if there's ever a vote that's split, I
you
put
know
down,
who's.
I put down who voted
For
what,
and
because
against,
that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Okay,
Just so you know.
thank
If it
you.
says carried, it means unanimous.
Does that make sense? All right. Next item of new business is discussing, and I think we've already mentioned a number of things about the new hire. I don't know, is there anything more to say at this point?
Not really, just I have one person to contact to get some additional information, and then, I'm going to, put out an ad to see if we can get some more, and hopefully have something by the next board meeting, would be my ideal goal. And I
Do we
know,
need to operate off the list if there's only one name on the list?
no, I can, in your pile of stuff that I gave you, there's the email from, Candy Plumley, who's our new contact at Civil Service. She said, because there's only one, it's not a complete list, we do not have to hire her, and we can, so put out an ad for more. But since she's on the list, I figured it was worth having a conversation with her. So that's kind of where we're at.
All right, so you will have hopefully a proposal for a new hire at our next meeting.
Yes, that's my goal.
Okay, good.
And I think we talked last time about the CoStar ad because it includes all of those hiring.
Right, and I know you emailed me some stuff. I just kind of left it in my unread so that I don't lose it.
Okay, if you can't find it, I'll send it to you.
So yeah, I'm hoping to have that out by the end of the week, so.
Okay,
Because the CoStar ad included, I think it stayed online for 30 days, and it also included like Indeed and all of those job.
And you said it was like
Oh,
$400.
It was
and that's
something,
out there. Now, is that out there?
no,
No,
I'm just
it's
saying
gonna
that.
It's gonna go out by the end of the week, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll see, we may get some responses for that, okay, but you're gonna handle that, because
Yes.
you're gonna hire that.
Expectations are mapped out by civil service, is that what you're doing?
Both, yes, they have given me, it's in your thing here, the library assistant, those are their criteria, and then I have my own, what I'm looking for as well, and with talking with civil services, library assistant was the one that most closely associated with what I am looking for.
That's this document, everybody got that?
Yeah, that's,
Okay,
yeah, everybody should have got that one, yeah.
Okay.
And then the last one is the email from Candy, actually expressly saying that we can post provisionally. Just if we don't hire this particular person, then anybody we do hire will have to take the civil service test in order to be permanently.
So they will be a provisional hire.
Right, yeah, much the
Until
same way
such time
Claire
as
and I
they
were,
pass the-
yeah, yeah.
So-
And she actually gives the,
Are you not interested in a library assistant if they're not a youth services library assistant?
I'm looking for somebody to help me with programming, somebody who can do that.
So if they say, hey, I'm not super crazy comfortable with that, but I'm willing to help out, I would want to be a part of this library. Are you saying it's only youth services that you're interested in hiring right now?
I don't know if I go that far. My biggest thing that I'm looking for is I'm looking for somebody who's gonna be a team player, be a part of the team, because there's a lot of times, I cover the front desk, so Claire can take a break or whatever, and she does things that are not necessarily in her job description, just because we're a team to keep the library going, and that's my primary thing. But, I'm hoping that somebody who has some, experience with young kids, because there's a lot more involved with programming for the underset than there is for adults.
What if we take youth services off the title and we just include it in the description? As in, we desire these qualities, but this isn't what we're adamantly seeking. Because I think we're gonna dissuade some people who are like, hey, I really don't like kids,
Well, might be a problem.
That's something that you could pick up on in the conversation.
Yeah,
as
somebody
you
doesn't
start
like
to
kids,
interview
that's
them.
kind of
But
that might be a
this,
deal breaker.
you're narrowing the field quite a bit, is what I'm saying. So do you want to narrow the field that much, or do you want to be a little bit more broad?
I think I'd like to give it a little bit of thought.
Okay? All right, so hopefully, the goal for next meeting is somebody to hire, we'll see.
Yes.
Okay. And the last item on the new business we have is, you're just provided us, and we were gonna have a discussion of these observed holidays, and you gave us something last time, and you included another item in your report.
Yes, I included the same thing I gave you last time as the second page. Hopefully it's understandable. I put an asterisk next to ones that are already acknowledged in the employment agreement that you gave me back in February.
Yes.
And the ones with the little arrow next to it are ones that were addressed by the Board of Trustees in November of 2020.
Yes, okay.
And the first page, the top page, is from the Southern Adirondack Library Systems website. These are the 11 holidays that they acknowledge.
I'm working with this.
They're also closed the day after Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. They're not obviously holidays, but they are, Sal's is closed. And the one thing I noticed, like on Juneteenth, we were open. Sal's was not, and, I think there might have been 2 other libraries besides us that were open. Pretty much all the libraries within the system, they follow Sal's. If they're closed, everybody else is closed, kind of thing. And then,
So, I can't remember how many holidays we had written down in the original agreement. But many of
It's on
these,
the next page, if you look at the one
Okay.
with an asterisk.
many of these holidays are on Mondays.
Yes,
And so we could just, I mean, we could conceivably take the Mondays off and you do the other ones instead.
Okay, so you're off Mondays anyway. But one of the things that, I don't say bothered me, but I was concerned about, Marion, was in the original note you gave us, you, and I think it says it on this other sheet as well, you say that the board on the 17th of November 2020 voted to recognize.
yeah, they did
those as
vote
paid
it,
holidays,
but they did address
didn't.
it. They did address
Yeah.
it, and it's
It was
just, and it
only
was
a
stated
discussion.
that they should be paid holidays, but there was not an actual vote.
Right, she addressed, I took those minutes out, she
Yeah,
addressed the
if you look
holiday.
at my
that should be
new paper that I handed you today, I amended that.
Got it, okay. So what are you asking us to do?
I guess I'm asking you to acknowledge, all of the federal holidays, and I think it would be nice if the employees were compensated for those, especially if they're on a day that we're open. I don't know if that's something you want to discuss here, or if that's
So-
executive session, or.
Help me out here. We have already approved in your agreement the ones with the asterisk.
Yes,
And you're asking us to add ones onto your agreement.
I'm asking them for all employees to acknowledge the federal
For
holidays.
any holiday without an asterisk.
Yes. Several of them are, like, Labor Day is already on a Monday, Columbus Day is on a Monday,
So what's the relevance of it's on a Monday?
so
You're
we're
getting
already
paid for it.
closed on a Monday.
So you would not, the way it's written right now in your agreement is that if a holiday falls on a day that the library is closed, you would get a different day off.
Right, what I would
So-
call like a floating holiday, but you guys specifically listed the ones that
Yes.
have asterisks.
Right, but so the question is, so there are 4 holidays that were already closed on. So,
No, the Memorial Day and Labor Day are the only ones that are on Mondays. The rest of
Oh, I
them
see.
vary.
Her current agreement.
in the
In my current agreement, yeah, the rest of them vary. New Year's Day varies.
Right, I understand, I'm counting Mondays, but I see that some of them are
Right,
ones
yeah,
already in your.
yeah, the only 2 that are always on Monday that are a part of my contract are Memorial Day and Labor Day. The only other one that is consistently a Monday is Columbus Day.
So you're not asking that the
And Martin
library gets
Luther King.
closed, you're asking for payment for those days. Okay, I guess I'm just confused
Well,
as
we're
far
not-
as
we're
what
not-
you're actually asking
Okay.
for.
To my knowledge, we're not specifically talking about my contract. I'm saying that there are other holidays, I know the Monday ones those are something that, I know you guys would probably have to discuss privately about whether or not you want to compensate me for those Mondays as a floating holiday. But the other holidays that do not necessarily fall on a Monday, I'm asking about having the library be closed and that all staff members, if they're scheduled to work that day, of course, I'm here every day, to be compensated for that day because
So
they
those-
shouldn't be penalized for being closed for a holiday, you know what I'm saying?
So those 2, so you're asking us to add Juneteenth and Veterans Day.
Yes,
That's the simplest way to say it,
yes.
because we don't really need to add further Monday holidays. We already have 2 Monday holidays that become floaters.
Yes,
So what we would really be doing is adding 2 holidays, which would be Veterans Day and Juneteenth.
And those would be the days that the library would close, what you're saying, would close.
Yeah.
And
And they would be paid days off
people
for our
would be
staff.
paid days off for the staff for those days. The other Mondays is still up for discussion in terms of whether those would be compensated as, you're calling them floaters.
right, would be
That's
Martin
cool.
Luther King, Washington,
Birthday.
and Columbus Day and Veterans Day. But Veterans Day,
No,
Veterans Day not always a Monday.
Yeah,
So
Veterans,
so it'd be Columbus Day, Washington's birthday, and MLK are the other 3 that are always on a Monday.
We talked about stats to change the library hours. Do you see an uptick with students coming in when school is closed?
We have
Like,
some
I guess
considerable more
that's my
teenagers, yeah.
major concern is what, Like, what if a kid says, hey, this is a great opportunity, I don't get to go to the library any other time, it's Juneteenth or it's Veterans Day. Let me go
Well,
check something out.
Juneteenth, we were dead. We were dead. It was not worth us being open. It was really, really quiet that day.
Our Veterans Day.
Veterans Day hasn't happened yet, but it's on a Monday this year. It happens to be on a Monday this year. But it's not always. The last 2 years, it's been on like a Thursday, Friday, I think, so.
All right, I think that's a conversation we probably can't have in open, right, we'd have to have executive session.
Okay. Do you want to adjourn the executive session tonight, or shall we schedule that? We're already over an hour.
We have public comments.
I can talk fast. I don't know, it's up to you. I mean, we'll do it at the end, obviously,
Yeah.
we'll let public comment time come,
Sure.
but why not deal with the run into the store, not away from it, right?
Okay. So we're agreeing this discussion on those should be held, the whole thing in executive session, we'll come back and report to ourselves. Okay, so then we're open for public comment, reminding
Excuse me,
everybody.
Ted, I've got some new business too.
Oh. New business? Oh, okay, okay, good.
This week has been a really crazy week here, for the library. A couple things, and I'm not directing this at Marion by any means, but she requested, and I did not put it in this last month's payments, due because I didn't want to take the responsibility of myself. I feel it's up to the board to answer this. She requested that we cut a check here in July for an event that's going to take place on August 22nd. My personal opinion is we have a meeting on August 20th. We would cut a check that night to pay this individual. So I did not put that in the expenses for July.
Based on the way the system works though, if we make the approval of these expenditures tonight, how soon are those checks cut?
Next day,
But then she has to mail it to me.
or we can physically pick it up.
Well,
So, it became a hassle with the program at the end of June. The check never came to me and ended up going back to Tammy, and then we ended up having to send another check to the programmer. I didn't have a check for her night of, and with paying with Patrice, I know this is the way my predecessor did things, and I know things are a little different, but she expects payment the night of her program. That's why I was putting it ahead of time, so there would be plenty of time for things to happen in the mail. If there's another way to do it, I'm fine with that. I have no authority to sign on a check, apparently none of us do. So just, and a way to have that check, and 2 days prior is kind of pushing it, in my opinion.
I really don't agree with it. First of all, if this individual can't wait 3 to 5 days after the program to get their check, then maybe they don't want to participate here. I hate to say it that way. I mean, they know they're going to get paid. We cut a check tomorrow if I had it on this month's statement, and the check gets lost or here, or better yet, this individual decides not to come and participate and do the program. Now we've got a check that's just kicking around. That's my only personal opinion, and I wanted to let the board know, that's why I did not present it in this monthly billing.
If we wait till next month, is it feasible for someone to bring me the check so that I have it that Thursday night to hand to her?
I can't answer that. My statement was that, geez, they ought to be able to, I mean, I do projects all the time. Sometimes I don't get paid for 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, we know we're gonna pay them. That's not denying that. It's just the credibility, you know what I mean? And when I spoke to Tammy, and she said, Colin, I need the person's address and I need a W-9. I had to have all that. So, I mean, it's up to the board how they want to handle it.
Anybody else?
And this person has said they wouldn't do the programming without a check in hand that evening. Have they said that?
She hasn't directly said that, no, but this, the way it has been handed in the past, is she expect, and it's always happened, is she expects payment night of. Most people who do a program and they're paid for it, they expect a paycheck, they expect a check.
Could we just have a conversation with her and explain?
I can attempt that,
Would
yes.
everything be okay if you're just going to get it in the mail a little bit later?
I can ask her,
Is she,
but I mean, if we don't do anything tonight, we're kind of,
is she also aware
What's
of
gonna
the W-9? In the past, last year, I've got 11
I have,
history on her.
my guess
Never
is
was.
I don't think anybody got a W-9.
Not, no, they didn't.
And, it seems to be a new concept for us, for, her.
But as long as she's
Well,
aware of it.
it's required.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's
Yes.
requirement, yeah, we know
Yes.
that. Okay, so I think your suggestion is a good one. Can you
Set a
have that
conversation with
conversation? And
I
if-
will have
no,
a conversation. I guess my question is,
We meet on the 20th. We meet on the 20th.
right,
because we ship that stuff down to Tammy on the 21st. She
yeah,
cuts the checks, puts it in the mail, you might have it the 22nd, or you might not. Somebody wants to drive all the way down to Middle Grove.
You just email her the night of,
It's a pain.
email her the night of the meeting, and then she's
Good,
got it
sure,
ready
you
the
can
next
email
day, the next morning. That's how she works.
Let's try it.
She's got a little basket on her front porch, you go pick it up, it's super easy. They're legit is, she's on a farm. That's
Is
it.
that right?
I wish there was a cookie there. Good.
yeah, I
Okay.
have no idea where she is.
Yeah, I visited her. Like I told you,
She's not that far away.
So
About
we
30
also,
minutes.
we also need a W-9, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm
if you
ready
have a
to,
conversation.
so are you saying you want me to go get the check? Is that what we're saying?
No, just,
No.
we're
No,
saying,
we're saying
have a conversation with her about,
That
What
check might
happens,
be a
what
day
happens
too
if a
late,
couple, if it's a couple days late? I
and
guess it's-
she needs to fill out a W.
and
This,
then-
we would like you to be a little bit flexible, because we're in the middle of trying to figure out, our footing with this. And, we're not definitively gonna have you a check that night, we potentially will, but we won't definitively. Just wanna give you a heads up beforehand, so you don't come in and, get caught off guard. We don't wanna have any unfulfilled expectations.
You okay with that?
Yeah, that's, but I want the board to understand what's going on here.
Yep,
you know?
okay, all right. Anything, you have something else?
Oh, yeah. I sure do. Okay. So moving on to our insurance agency here, of course, the company that writes us everything is Utica National Insurance Group, okay? I received a letter several days ago stating that our premium is going to increase of $657. Also, part of this, I want to make that statement first. Next part is they sent me a policy. Do we want auto coverage for staff or employees here if they're using their vehicle? That's an additional $106. Okay. So I put that all together. And then the next letter I opened is they're no longer going to write us after 9/1/24. Utica National Insurance Group is doing away with a lot of policies, and we are one of them.
So they
And-
won't cover us after September 1st
That's
of
correct.
this year, okay.
So I had a long conversation with Tiffany Shear. She's the agent that's handling our commercial account, and she is looking frantically to find another underwriter to cover our insurance. And she's sure that she can, but I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention of what's going on here with our insurance. I also she's gonna get back to me hopefully this coming week with some figures. And I also went around the corner to this insurance company, asked them if they would be interested in throwing us a quote after we see what this other company's doing, just to compare apples to apples. And they said, yes, definitely they would.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
and so that's all I got.
I mean, we can't let, I mean, we
Yeah,
gotta
That
have
has to go up
insurance.
for bid.
What,
Don't know.
what's the amount of that?
Yeah, what's the amount? In-
I don't have what our
Annual.
annual is in front of me, no.
Because there's a specific cutoff in terms of any.
But I mean, do we
I think we
want
have it in
that
the budget.
additional $106 for auto or not?
We haven't had it in the past.
We don't use,
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Have we?
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of the things that we stumbled upon, and that's why he made phone calls, because we
My
were
question
concerned as to
is, I wanna
why
do
we
it
had an auto
sure.
policy. Apparently, it's, you can correct me, Colin, it's an added coverage, so, I guess like last summer, Amanda Hoffman, who was the youth director, she used her vehicle to transport books down to Hadley Park, for the youth program. And so the library had a rider on it to cover her vehicle, and should she have an accident between here and there, or like Claire goes to get the farm to library, if she's using, if a library employee is using their vehicle for library business, it's extra coverage in case there's an accident.
Correct.
Is that happening now?
I don't believe it, do we have one
We
currently?
have it right now, but, because it's coming due,
Do,
but now it's a wash because they're no longer gonna write us at
but
all.
anyway, but the question is, do we want to have auto coverage in the event that
Right, when
library?
she starts quoting me new rates,
Well, no,
do we want part of that in the quote?
I think we ought to know what it costs,
Okay.
don't you think?
Yeah.
Do you use your vehicle to pick up library or to pick up farm to market?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I drive from Hudson Falls to here, also to Corinne. Because we have on again, off again. 1 week I'll pick it up, the other week Becky will pick it up. So I drive from Hudson Falls to Corinne, then us.
Okay.
I had a conversation done previously.
I think, my, yeah, I don't know, well, my belief on this is if an employee is using their vehicle for library business, we're obligated to cover. I can't see how we could say, you gotta use your car, and we're not gonna be liable. That just seems reasonable. But let's see what the costs are,
Okay,
and then we'll work from
all
there.
right, thank you.
Anything else? Good.
Plenty.
Okay, okay, public comment. We allow that. We usually allow 2 minutes. We'd like you to come forward, tell us who you are and state your comment, and we'll go from there.
June Romer Cecily, couple things I'd like to say, and I might go over the 2 minutes because last meeting there was a lot of discussion about the youth program and I wasn't here to answer those questions and a lot of confusion, so I want to set that straight so that you have a little history of the background of the Hadley Youth Program and the relationship with the library because everybody's new, so.
Okay.
But first off, I want to say it's great to see the finances getting in order because that's been a question because I've been coming for 3 years and I've been asking those questions. So what a relief. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So with Hadley Youth, when we started it, our budget was $2,800 for a program for the youth. I was able to secure a little bit more. We ended up under $8,000. Asked the library to come over and do story hour, getting their numbers up with their kids. Came twice, great. Next year, our budget was up to about $10,000. So yay. Then we had some added from Lake Luzerne, so that was really great. It was up a little bit more. We did some programming and the library did pay for that programming and Amanda was able to come over and that was great. My first year, I had 80 kids registered. Second year, 110. Today, we get 120.
Wow.
Right. So to have the program at Hadley Park, it's a great open field. We can see everything. Transportation's drop off there, pick up there. When I approached Marianne on hopefully coordinating again, I said to her specifically, I don't know what your youth budget is. There was no expectations of anything because I knew you guys were going through the transition. But here's a couple programs that will enhance the kids at the youth program. Can I bring 119, 120 kids here? No. Feasibly, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
We have a program for 3.5 hours. It can't happen. Did 119 kids show up? No, but possibility can. Drop off, pick up, I never know how many's coming. On an average, 57 kids have been coming the last 2 weeks, which is wonderful. Okay, so with that, I gave her the information on it, followed up with her question about Lori Story Hours, where she comes and sings. I didn't get back to Marianne on that because I never got back. I heard back from Lori. I finally did the $500, would include her travel costs. But at that point in time, I had already heard from Mary, and she said that the board had decided that with just 2 people, they couldn't come over. So the null and void, we couldn't do that. We couldn't move forward. So I just dropped it, knowing and respecting that that was a decision, understanding only 2 people. So that was what
It was,
I heard. On the 18th, I have an email from Mary that said she discussed it with the trustees, and it was decided that with the employees. So that was the information I received. So I never followed back up with her. Then with all the kids having library cards, I sent her a list of them, she sent it back. I have 30, 40 kids that don't have library cards. I can't get the parents to sign those. Trying, it's laid out there every time. They're not gonna do it. We're not gonna be able to participate in that, because we're not gonna have all the kids do that, because the parents aren't gonna sign it. So that's not gonna, because parents are coming and dropping, picking up kids, they're doing, so I can't get them to do that. Right, it's hard enough to get them to sign their kids up and do the classes for the field trips. You would think that they would want to, but it's laying out there, I can't hunt down every parent. There's like 30 or 40 kids that didn't have it.
About half of the kids she sent me, yeah.
So, so anyway, and there's kids constantly signing up. I had 4 sign up today. And all the kids have to have a library card. It's not gonna happen.
They have to have a library card for what?
For
In order
here,
to sign out a
to
book.
sign out a book.
sign out a book. Okay,
Yes.
so that's why you're saying you can't have a.
Right, and then Marianne sent me the list of the kids who have it, and she went through and did the, who doesn't have it. But before the library had said, it said all kids, so no books will go and be released to me until all kids have the library card. Understand, respect that, but it's not gonna happen. So this year's not gonna go with what the parameters are on it. And again, if I could, I have 7 counselors, my assistant Kayla and myself. We have ratios. We don't have just a number of things. I've got to keep that. So when I said that we couldn't split the kids up, it wasn't because I didn't have enough staff. It was because I have to make sure that I have, because of the age groups. So just to clarify that, this year my budget is a little under 18. My payroll is a little over 16. I have $1,500 to program with. I borrow, steal, supporting, everything. That's why, I don't know what your budget is. I know that it was big in the past because of the conversations that I had on the board. Yes, we can do this. There was no expectations. Let's try to do it. But since, like I said, that email came through and it said, I spoke to the trustees, I have to respect that. So
There was no board decision. There were some informal conversations that were sort of like, do you think it makes sense?
and I understand that after watching. the
And see,
thing.
this is kind of an explosion of what I was saying at the last meeting as being problematic, that we didn't include all of the board in a conversation about this, in a meeting that was supposed to be about the budget.
Right.
And then people are walking away with the perception that the board made decisions based on the conversation that you had in a budget meeting, which shouldn't have been had, because a budget meeting is specifically for a conversation about the budget, and that's what the law says, that a special meeting needs to pertain to the content of that special meeting.
But if
And
there was
so
a request for
we-
payment for program, that's part of budget
It's not though.
conversation.
This is authorization for library cards at the park. It's completely
Okay, I
different.
thought it was.
And that
So
has-
this is
One at a time,
big
please.
circular issue.
So that has nothing to do with the information I received, that the trustees decided this, that they couldn't, they had both be here. And I respect that. So it was null and void, we couldn't do it. The vision wasn't there. Maybe next year when everything gets together and we have more in place, yes. But right now, I didn't move forward with it. And after watching the video, I was like, I gotta go in there and explain to them, this is what happened. And I didn't follow through because I was told in an email that the board decided. So what he's saying has nothing to do with me. And then the budgeting, I know that Ree made the comment about, do we have a budget? Yeah, we do, but it's $1,500. So yeah, if you could pay for it all, great. If we could go halfway, if I could get a.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't even know what program is.
So there was 3 programs that I had given to Marion to look over and see if the library would sponsor them. That would enhance the program that we have.
Okay, but the program didn't have to do with library cards.
No, 2 different things.
Okay. That's where I'm getting
Two separate
confused.
things. No.
2 different things.
What happened is, as the librarian, I felt uncomfortable sponsoring a program that the library could not be represented at.
Sure, I understand that.
When you guys came for the budget meeting, before the meeting started,
It was, because
I
you talked
asked
in the
you-
hallway, what I
I
thought.
just asked your opinion. It's my understanding that I'm the one that makes the decision on programming, that the board doesn't vote on that, but that's at my discretion. So I just asked you, I asked Ted, and I asked Reed privately before the meeting started, just looking for some input, checking myself. Am I overreacting? Am I being reasonable? The consensus was that, no, that's not unreasonable to
And
have the
also,
library represented.
It did not come up at the meeting. I know when I walked in the door,
The only reason I said it is because that was said.
Right, and I did,
Re-explained the conversation as it coming up at the meeting,
it
at
may
the
have,
previous meeting.
it may have with a couple of people. I know that she reached out to me, you know, when I walked in the door and said, what do you think? And I didn't know about it. I mean, it was like, why are we paying for a program that we can't be at in any way? And that was,
yeah, that's because I just feel like the library should have been a representative there. And we have the
Absolutely, we
income.
never said that you couldn't come.
And-
we just don't have the
Well,
staff.
we can't come because the board made that decision before I was even hired, that there would be 2 people on
Right, we
staff
don't have
at all
staff.
times. So hopefully next year, I would love to do it. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
And the only reason I'm saying that all students should have a library card is because I'm trying to avoid, because I have 0 control. I'm not there. I'm signing the books out, you're sending a student to grab the books, they're leaving my site, and then I'm out of control, but I'm still responsible. Is that if a kid who doesn't have a library card somehow ends up with a book, I have no way of knowing where that book is. So I'm just trying to control that to some extent. I'm not trying to make life hard for you. Was honestly trying to make things work to the best of my ability without being able to be physically there or have an employee.
And I totally
There.
understand that, and the conversation was here when I wasn't here to explain to people who don't know the program, who don't know, to tell you that these are the things that, why we can't have it here, because it was suggested that we have, I might have 120 kids show up, I can't, you know?
Well,
So,
hopefully,
those are the-
next summer we'll have a 3rd staff person, and that should be.
hopefully,
Oh, yeah.
hopefully by next
Yeah,
meeting, you'll have
like I keep saying, from their lips to God's ears.
But when it was done over and I got to watch it last week, I was like, there's more information that you guys need to know.
Yeah.
And that, you know,
appreciate
I
it.
never expected you to pay the whole thing unless you could
Yeah.
and sponsor it. It wasn't, you know, and if you can't be there, no one expects that. But again, I didn't, because Mary kept saying, I haven't heard back from the questions, but you didn't hear back from me because the decision was made in the email that I received. The trustee said, blah, 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 respect it, move on. We, you know, so I just wanted to make sure that, you know, and
We're
it
not-
also was a statement that said that I wasn't budging.
We're not gonna be,
I was budging, but I can't budge.
not gonna be part of the program this year.
Not this year, no.
And is there anything we can do to help get those people to sign up for library cards?
You could send someone down there to do it. I have.
Well, yeah, but we can't do that.
Correct, exactly. So that's where it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I can't sit there when I've got 57 kids
Yeah.
running around the field and make sure that they're there. I let them know. They
So,
sign
but
up,
if we
they
had a 3rd staff person, if somebody could go there and help that out with that,
Yes.
so maybe that'll happen. How long does your program run?
We are done August 8th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
that's pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna have,
It's not gonna happen this year.
No, but now that you guys are getting your finances together, we've got it, we can move forward. But again, too many questions from last month.
Thousand.
And I wasn't here, so I want to let you know. But please, if Josh has stopped into the program, Colin's seen our
Yeah.
program, come and see. It's crazy.
Put me on your calendar for like April of next year to start planning it.
Yeah, that would be
Seriously.
great. No, absolutely.
I mean, I know things are crazy this year because, I mean, we didn't open till March 1st and it's
Exactly, and that's why I just
So-
wanted to get up and address so that you guys would have
appreciate
the
it.
history. And like I said,
so you and I are good.
yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody knows everything because
Yeah.
and out of respect for Marion, I was gonna bombard her March 2nd. That would be crazy. So did the research on the program, presented it, you know, collaboration, whatever. We have a lot of community members that have supported us and have built up our, I don't want to say budget, but again, like I said, it's not under 20, it's under 20,000 and payroll is crazy because it's $15 an hour.
Right.
Okay.
So, okay,
Thank you.
Anyways, thank you.
I think we're,
Two
I
issues.
think we're clear.
Number one is the discrepancy in what was communicated to
Yeah.
her, that the board made a decision and the
I didn't
board
say that the
saying
board
that they
made a
didn't make a decision.
I didn't say that.
Number two, where there's a will, there's a way. We can outreach to the board, we can talk to people about, hey, what can we do to make this work? We're cleaning out a basement right now and asking for volunteers. So we can do that. We can be a little more flexible in our approach to things as well. So we can, this is a major miss this year. So we could have put a little bit more effort into making it work, I think.
Well, I have tried, and as I said at the last meeting, I don't plan anything with the assumption that the board is going to do anything, because I know you guys are volunteers, most of you have jobs. I get that. I try very hard not to depend on you guys to step up to do things. That's what the library staff is for.
Yeah.
It was not an unwillingness to do this. That was the other reason why I asked the board members that happened to show up at the meeting before the meeting started. I just asked for some feedback. That was not suggested, that the board could possibly step up and help. And I didn't say that the board made a decision. I did say that I spoke to some of the trustees, and I had spoke to some of the trustees. And it was my call ultimately that I didn't think it was right to not have the library represented there.
And I had no problem with it being your call. I have
I
a
just-
problem with it being communicated that the board made a decision if the board is claiming that they didn't make a
Okay.
decision.
Again, I'm just gonna say it again. What I said to her was that I had spoken to the trustees, and I had spoken to 3 of the trustees. I never said that
That's not
the
the
board made
But
a
I think we've gone enough on this. I
That's
really
not
do.
the trustees, though.
Yeah.
That is the clarity that we need
Yeah.
moving forward, because two members of a board, we couldn't function, right?
That's right.
We didn't have quorum, we couldn't function. You
Okay.
have to talk to the entire board
Yeah.
in order to say that the board is on board with something.
All right. Anybody else from the public? Rosemary Gardner.
Rosemary Gardner, Lake Luzerne. First of all, I would just like to thank Colin and Janice for committing to the commitment, because it is a big commitment. It's important work, and I'm happy to see you two take on the mantle. Thank you for that. The second thing I want to mention quickly is concerns the basement cleanout. So when we were talking about this back in the old days when I was sitting up there, it was one of the things on Marion's list, and it was at the recommendation of a fire inspection, that we do something there. So I did contact one of the town council, one of Lake Luzerne's town councilmen, and that's how we kind of got started. I had a conversation with him for the town to kind of use a truck and maybe some volunteer kind of stuff. That's how it got started. And so some of that work has been done. The only thing I'm mentioning now is as we look at these collaborative relationships that we're building, that's really a strong one with our town boards. And so this is probably already on your list, but if it isn't, I would like to respectfully remind that we should send written thank yous to the town board. And Colin, I don't know if they have the town board. I know that Jim Niles at the Luzerne Town Board was going to contact Mr. Wright and Hadley, and I don't know if they have participated at all or not, but to the town government or governments who have volunteered, to help us out, I think it's really important that we get some written notice of appreciation to them. And if you need help out.
I'll do that too.
Thank you.
Yeah, the town Hadley let me bring that whole trailer that I had taken out of the basement.
That warrants a thank you.
And, they let me,
Yes, that was,
oh, no charge, obviously.
and Mary, I'm sure that was already on your list, but I just wanted to offer
Right.
help if you need it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Do we want to go to executive session to discuss the holiday issue tonight? Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right, we need a motion to proceed to executive session to do that.
I make that motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. All right, we're gonna do that. We will come back from executive session only to adjourn the meeting, folks, so we're not giving you any reports or anything else.
Do
From
you
that
want me on
perspective.
executive session?
Okay.